Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, to this live stream. I'm going to go through some of the comments today. I'm going to get straight into it. I can see people there already. Hey there. I can't read their comments. They're too small. So I'm going to move that to another screen. How's everybody doing today? It's the morning for me. It is fairly early. But this is what I usually do in the morning. Go through the comments. So this is the video. Let me just have a look. So already in the chat, let me just organize this chat. In the chat, we've got Musk is pathetic. Anything he says about Tesla or any of his other companies is straight up BS. And he is desperate to keep people thinking he is delivering when he hasn't for years. All right, that's a banger of a first comment. Thanks, entropy achieved. And so rather than responding in text, I'm just going to respond live to these kinds of comments. So yeah, I think people are judging Tesla and Elon on the Elon of 10 years ago, I think. And let me just move down to the comments here. We've got over 300 comments so far in this video, so I'm going to go through them. But we've got time here. I'm just gonna hang out on the stream here. So anybody wants to join, that would be great. And I will answer I mean, there's a lot of comments and a lot of chat, so I'll get to whatever I can. But I do want to answer some of the comments on the actual video because that's what I do every morning when I get up. That's the first thing I do. I spend an hour or so in the comments in the community, talking to people and replying to comments. So I thought I'd do that on a live stream. So yeah, the Musk of 10 years ago, I think people, especially the evangelicals, as I call them, let me know if you can hear everything, by the way, if everything's okay. I haven't checked that. To check the live stream is actually going. Let me just check on this other screen here. Yep, we're live and that looks a-okay. But if you can't hear me or anything like that, do let me know. So yeah, and let me know where you are in the world. So afternoon in California from Keith Dow. How you going, Keith? And the next comment there is, at this point, I know more about manufacturing than anyone else alive on Earth. Well, that's Elon for you, isn't it? And then the Cybertruck was it's been a disaster, hasn't it? They're not selling as many as they wanted to. 250,000 a year Elon wanted, and what are they doing? I think I said 4,000 a quarter, but I think it's more like 4,000 a month, but still. No, it's not for no, it's not. I think it's a quarter, so they're not selling anywhere near that. So yeah, well, let me know where you are. Greetings from Colorado Rocky Mountains. Peter S. Hi, Peter. It's a great part of the world. I've been there a few times. It's a beautiful part of the world. And there's lots of snow sports there. And Denver, of course. Where are you from? Are you from Denver? Boulder's really nice. Been to Boulder. Uh, been to a lot of those ski places there. Would like to go back. Afternoon in California. Yes, I'm doing these live streams. I might, if anything, they might be a bit later, but I do want to get on with work. So I know it's pretty early on the West Coast. I mean, I'd kind of ideally like to do it after people have after 5 p.m., but that's getting too late on the other side. And in Europe, say in the UK, it's getting late already. Yes, good evening from the UK. Says Cantabrigi. You're in the last stream. How do you pronounce it? Cantab. I don't know if that's 2 words or 1. Genus. Cantabrigenus. Good evening from the UK. Thanks for hosting this. Really enjoyed the chat the other day. Thanks. So I might make this regular. I mean, this is what I do every day. I mean, I'm not sure if I can do this every day. I'll see. I am a bit of an introvert, so talking a lot all the time drains my batteries. Like I see some streamers who like stream for 8 hours or more, or 2 or 3 or 4 hours at a go. I find myself really tired after that because being an introvert, which means doesn't necessarily mean you're shy, it just means that social interaction kind of drains your batteries, and so does talking. I don't know if you've ever heard that. There's a good book on that. Can't remember its name, but I read about that. Um, Everybody hit the thumbs up, face blue, smiling face blue, smiling. Says Marissa. Hi, Marissa. You're a regular too. Every time I have a live stream, you join. So hi, thanks for that. Audio's perfect, all good. Thanks, Cantab. I'm going to call you Cantab for short. Howard M sounds good. Audio's good. Great. I'm glad to hear that because I've had some streams early on in this, and I wasn't so experienced. I mean, I've got the kind of equipment now. I've got a decent microphone, but and a decent, connection as well. Howdy, S. We're just kind of waiting. I'll just give it a few minutes before I get into the comments. Howdy, SWSW of Disneyland. What's SWSW of Disneyland? Does that mean you're in Anaheim? Good morning, JJ. Hello from Washington State. Yay. Boulder. Yes, I guessed it. Peter's from Boulder. Been there. It's a lovely town, isn't it? Tesla and University Town too. Colorado University, right? Tesla announces a chip deal for 2027. I saw that. It won't be around. I mean Tesla won't be around in 2027. Well, I don't know about that. They got a lot of cash. Whether that's actually accurate, the cash they've got a little bit of debt, so you take it out of that. But um, I mean, they do have a fair amount of cash, and I think that's why Elon's going. They've got a lot of cash. Can I do a deal for XAI or one of my other companies for Tesla to invest in that and give some cash over? That wouldn't surprise me, and shareholders will just go, "Yeah, let's do that," whether it's a good thing or not. Good evening from Stockholm, Sweden. Excellent. I haven't been there. I'd love to go there. Uh, Sweden has a lot of companies there. Like if you think of Spotify, or if you think of the great uh, Swedish companies, there are quite a lot. We've got Lego, we've got Spotify, we've got IKEA, which is about to come here. I mean, they're all over the place, but I went to them in Australia, but it's going to be the first one in New Zealand. And many other good amazing companies. What is it? Because it's not a big population. There's something in the water there, something in the attitude, and also music. There's a lot of good music from there. I guess that's why Spotify did come from there originally. Do you think Elon is bored of EVs and is now interested in politics? Well, I don't know. I think he's been burnt by politics. It's like he does it as a threat. Talk about this America party. But he hasn't seemed to be saying much about it, and it's certainly divisive in terms of, it's not doing him very in Tesla sales, it's not doing good. So perhaps he'll pull away if he's really serious about focusing on the companies. I don't know, but yeah, it's. I mean, it's damaging for him to be in politics. It seems. Do you like my cup with that famous wave on it? This is actually from the British Museum, I think. British Museum, London. Yeah. I love that cup. All right. Now there's so many comments in the chat. I'm not going to get to the chats on the video, so I'm going to have. I'll continue on with the chat for a minute, and then we'll get into to the questions that people have asked on the video. Hello from the Jersey Coast. Excellent. Wow, we've got a good representation from all over the place. It's great to see. Hi, JJ from Wellington. I'm an introvert, so can relate. Wellington, I didn't know you're from Wellington in New Zealand. Right. That is Wellington in New Zealand because of isn't it? Because I know that there are other Wellingtons. That's from Bendy Bruce. You were here on the last stream. Tesla will be around in 2027, promising actual full self-driving in 2030. Well, yeah, this video. Speaking of this video, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Oh, sorry about that. Zooming up. That Elon's wild claim that they're going to get to 50% of the population by the end of the year, which is only months away. If you look at that map, so Dan O'Dowd has worked out there that I mean, where the population centers are in the US, of course, New York and Los Angeles accounts for a lot, and all the big cities, Texas as well, Florida, Miami. And so, Elon probably would have done the math on that, saying, well, if we're in this city, but what I'm thinking is he might say, okay, there's a small geofence like Austin, and we'll count that as the whole city because people could come into the geofence and access robotaxi if it's public. So I bet you that's what he's thinking. So he just needs to count up the number, to put it in the cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, and New York, and Chicago, whatever, and then just count the whole city, even though it's just a small geofence. That would be my guess on how he's doing that math on that. We say maths here rather than math, but my kids are starting to say math. It's the American influence. They're into math and they say math. Okay, so the chip, yeah, the Samsung. I haven't actually read about that news. Later on in the stream, I might. So I answer questions and then I go into what video am I going to make for today because I make one every day. So I look for the news, read all the news about everything, including all the memes and stuff, which is fun. And I might do that later in the stream if I don't conk out before then, or if there's nobody on the stream, there's no point. As the chip for Is the chip for AI or HW5? Good question. So the HW5 would be for the Cybercab and for later models. So HW3, people are starting to complain about, Elon promised that there would be full self-driving for HW3. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case at all. So I think there's going to be probably court cases about that. People bought FSD and cars based on the fact that they're going to be able to have this, and then there are like a million or more millions that aren't going to. So, are they going to have to compensate everybody? There's going to be a class action. I don't know what's going to happen there. Or are they going to offer something free, some sort of compensation? And have you discussed the lack of permits around Tesla's CA robotaxi? No. See, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things to talk about for sure. So, uh, well, I've talked about the court case that's going on in California about the false advertising. Well, I've made a video about that. That's going to be really interesting to see, and that could be a suspension of their license for their dealership license, so they might not be able to sell cars in California, and the suspension might be for a month, so they miss out on that month of sales. But I do doubt that's actually going to happen when it comes down to it. I mean, Tesla's got good lawyers, and I don't know, but it's an interesting case. But the lack of permits, which means I think I mentioned that in this video, that say they want to go into San Francisco, they're gonna have to have a not even a safety monitor in the passenger seat, a safety driver, which is what Waymo did when they're testing. But I think, excuse me, the way that Waymo rolls out is they have a driver who's not doing anything, but it's a safety monitor. The way that Tesla is, and then they have no passengers, so they just test them with no passengers, and then finally they have passengers. So it's safety first, and Tesla's trying to catch up. So they do need a lot more. They do need a lot more. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I was looking at the numbers here. 75 people it says on stream, so that's great. So yeah, I would like to do these regularly and hang out, just so people can come and go and know that I'm here at the same time, perhaps every day. I don't know. We'll see. As I said, if I get burnt out from it, or if people don't show up, that won't be so good either. But yeah, so they're gonna have to have safety drivers. Waymo is in New York. Waymo's testing in Tokyo apparently, and so they're expanding, and Tesla's playing catch up. So like Waymo's expanding without fully autonomous to new places, even with safety monitor first, but then fully with fully autonomous, and then Tesla's just going and isn't able to be autonomous. It's not level 4 yet, so they can't even they can't even do it. So it's going to be like Uber, where they've got a driver with hands off the wheel, just intervening probably a lot. So it's kind of like Uber. Elon is interested in technology, just like the other tech bros. Technocracy, sorry, not technology. Yeah, that's Gil Duran's doing a lot of writing on that on his The Nerd Reich. I haven't made many videos about that, but his writing is really good, and he does podcasts as well on YouTube. He talks about all the tech bros, the tech billionaires, really wanting to, I would say, take over government, but really control what happens in government. They're having a good go at it this time with Trump. David Sachs is in there doing stuff with AI, and and Elon, of course, was in there, even though that's broken up. Peter Thiel's got a lot of influence in there. I mean, I would like to do more videos about that, but this kind of aren't popular. Maybe on the politics channel, I'd do that over time, especially Palantir is another company. I don't know, that could go in that direction. This channel over time, who knows? Could do. I'll see. But yeah, they've got a lot of influence. It's like did anybody see that show Mountainhead on Netflix, where they have these tech bros, billionaire tech bros, and they're talking about transhumanism, and it's kind of dystopian, but it's good. But you'd only I see the rating on the show is not great, but I think you have to kind of know a lot about the tech to get a lot out of it. But like, I thought, "Oh, yeah, that's okay," when I saw it, but I found myself thinking about it a long later. So, yes. Oh, we've got a lot of okay, gonna keep going here. Will Tesla do My Pillow guy and shareholders remove him? Yeah, the My Pillow guy. What was his name? Mike. Oh, what's his name? But yeah, I somebody said that one day, and I looked it up because I didn't really know about it. And he was involved in the whole 2020 voting machine fraud kind of thing, and with Trump, and his company just went down the tubes because he went so political. It is like that. Definitely, Elon. It's very similar to that, I think. But uh, so far, Tesla hasn't. They've lost customers, but that guy, I think he's still in politics. I saw him the other day on some video. But yeah, that really hurt his company, the My Pillow company, right? I saw this on Reddit today. Tesla make me feel better about shorting longer dated naked calls at absurd strikes like 600. Makes me wonder whether, if we get time, we could discuss whether that's cut off in my. I don't see any more than that, but I don't short. I do not sure whether we can work out how and when the share price will crash, and if it is a good idea to buy puts or whatever. Okay, so I can't actually discuss that because I'm not a financial advisor, and in where I live, it's pretty strict on that kind of thing, and so I can't really talk about the specifics of that, and whether how this what are the predictions of stock, and what we like my opinion on it. But also shorting, I'll give you my opinion on shorting. I don't do that. It's really, really hard, and I think only a few people in the world, if you look, can do it really successfully. If you look at the most successful investors in the world, they're just generally not they don't do that. They're not traders, and they don't short. There are a few, and that's what gets people going, I think, is that there are a few, like a handful, like Stephen Cohen, who actually got convicted of something, like, was it insider trading or something? But it's just so hard to time, and you can, like, when you go long, you can lose 100% of your money at worst with shorting, depending how you do it, but you can lose a lot more than that. And if you look at Jim Chanos, who's one of the most famous short sellers, he's lost a lot of money in, in Tesla in particular, for shorting. And he might be, the thing is, you can be right, but you can be just slightly wrong in the timing and lose a great deal of money. So that's why I don't do it. I'm happy. I'm not long, and I'm not short Tesla. I can say that. I used to be long. I made 100% out of it. And then, so the way that do invest, and I am a stock investor, I've got other stocks, but I will take a position and then kind of increase it up to 10%, no more than 10%. Actually, some of them are 10%. If they grow, if the stocks grow, I don't sell them down to 10% again. But uh, Tesla, the more that the more that I learned about it and what Elon was doing, I got very disillusioned. And as I researched more into it, I kind of realized more and more that it's trustworthy not trustworthy management, which is what Warren Buffett says is very, very important. And so some people say I don't care. Tesla, the stock's doing well, and so but yeah, as for shorting, I don't do that, so I can't really talk about it. And I don't know much about it because I haven't done it a lot, and I don't kind of like doing it. But I know that a lot of people who are anti-Tesla, anti-Elon are very keen on shorting the Tesla Q. And I do have a list. I've got an X list, and might look at that of people later on. I'll look at the Tesla Q X stream, so because I get do get a lot of information on there, but they're aimed at shorting it. I'm not looking to make money out of shorting Tesla, and a lot of people have lost money because of the meme stock kind of status of it. It can just take off even when the news is bad. It can take off, right? So it's very hard to short something that's doing that, like a meme stock. You can just when you're sure it could go down, it goes up, and sometimes the other way too. And things can happen. Surprises can happen that you just don't know, especially with Elon, which because he's a loose cannon. Do you think Tesla will go the way of Enron? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not giving financial advice in terms of the stock, but there's a lot of questionable stuff. Just let me say that. And uh, in terms of the channel, when I'm doing videos about this every day, if it went the day of Enron, what would happen to the channel? I've thought about this. If something like that did happen, if it just collapsed, I- I'm sure the viewership would just take off if there were court cases and the collapse of the stock, and it would just take off. But then then after that, it would die. I mean, how many people are talking about Enron now? So I kind of pivot away and talk about other companies and stocks, but it would be epic for a while if that did happen. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's yeah, are they cooking the books? There's a lot of interesting stuff in there that you don't know about. There are cases there that people have done accusing massive fraud and stuff, but we just don't know until it gets through the courts. But there are court cases coming up. There's a class action. I mean, stuff could happen. They're in a good financial position, but that can be illusory for a start. But that's it. We just assume that their books are not cooked, so we have to go on that. Where in New Zealand are you? I lived in Auckland CBD near Britomart for 4 years. Wow, I guess an apartment. That's inner city. Not that Auckland's that big, but yes, I live in Auckland. I live in sort of on the outskirts near the regional park actually. So um, and built a house here. We moved back from Sydney, from Australia, bought a really old house here, which when I say old, wasn't historic. It was falling down, which we lived in for a few years and then we rebuilt here. But it was just such a good view here and everything. But I do get into the CBD a bit, but I work from home in my home studio here. It's raining today. I don't know if you can hear that. It rains a lot in Auckland. A bit like Seattle that way, constant rain. Elon added a subject to regulatory approvals disclaimer to his comment about half the population. Okay. That's an easy way he can fail and then blame it on woke politicians. Well, the other thing that he says, of course, is there's a lot of tells in what he says. Whenever he says something like that, he says, I'm confident, I'm medium confident, or I'm super confident, or I'm reasonably confident." So it's not like it's not a promise. So not a promise. It's a claim. I mean, the legal team calls it corporate puffery and optimism. So whenever he predicts these things, it's just optimism, and corporate puffery is allowed, and that's what they call it. So it's what I like to call it because that's like legally what they're saying that he does. And they're saying that I think they said in the court case that actually where it mattered was that it's corporate puffery, and anybody who would believe what he says, or people shouldn't believe or wouldn't believe, anybody in their basically anybody in their right mind wouldn't believe what he says. But a lot of people do, right? That's the point. Maths makes sense. It's since it's since a shortening of mathematics. Math does sound less awkward to me, though. Oh, here we go. Latin for Cambridge, if you've ever seen EGMA, Cantab. It's what Cantab is short for. Okay. Cantab reminds me of Canterbury, which is in the UK, of course, but in New Zealand as well. Actually grew up in Canterbury, Christchurch, Canterbury. So that's what it makes me think of when that's why it confuses me when I see that. It's like, I just think Canterbury. Old name for river, now Cam. When the university was founded, it was between the two. I haven't been to Cambridge. I'd like to go there. My son's doing Cambridge exams, so we still have a lot to do with Cambridge here, which are externally graded. It's kind of strange that but that's to do with Cambridge University, right? Greetings from Germany. Hi. I see in the analytics there's quite a few people from Germany, and I've done quite a few videos about Germany because Elon's and Tesla. I mean, Tesla's got the factory there. Elon has talked about it and even got involved in politics. So I see people there from Germany. My sister lives in Germany, in Dresden, so I do have. I haven't. I'd like to go there too, for obvious reasons, to visit her and family there. I haven't done that for a long time. Hi from Denver, another person from Colorado. Hi there. On mountain time. I feel like Waymo takes safety far more seriously than Tesla. Yeah, I agree. Also think their tech is quantitatively better. Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, I just don't care about that. I mean, they talk about the look of it, the lidars on the car. I don't care if you're just taking an auto taxi. It's not your car. What do you care about the look of it, really? I mean, as long as it's safe, right? I want to get into an autonomous car and drive and not worry about whether it's going to crash or having I feel like in the Tesla robo taxis, maybe once they do get rid of the driver, they might have like a kill switch in the back, stop right. I feel like I'd have my finger hovering over the kill switch the whole time. But maybe it would be like Waymo to begin with there too. It just takes time, and they have got a really good safety record. I mean, people point out some of the things, but it's really like 10 million rides and hardly anything at all. And Tesla has these freaky incidents all the time, even with the safety monitor there that I've seen on video all the time. Teal's friend Hulk Hogan died. Yes. I saw a thing from the Majority Report talking about Hulk Hogan, how he shouldn't be celebrated because of some of the things that he did. Uh, he and Peter Thiel, well, Peter Thiel kind of used him, I think, about Gawker back in the day. This is a long time ago, Silicon Valley kind of blog that was really gossipy. And I mean, there was some not nice things they did. It was like uh, yeah, gossip column kind of thing, and they outed Peter Thiel, and when he wasn't out yet, they said it was kind of an open secret, but he really hated that, and he spent years working out how to sue them, and he basically sued them out of existence. But I think he's tried twice. The first time it didn't work. Second time he partnered with Hulk Hogan, who I think was said some racist comments, and there was I don't even know what the scandal was, but there was some scandal, and they sued Gawker and won, and it went out of business. So that's what Peter Thiel does. He is interested in the media and he doesn't like criticism. And so that is why I think of Hulk Hogan. I wasn't into wrestling at all, but obviously I knew who he was. Knew he was supporting Trump and everything, but that's that history with Peter Thiel. Okay. I read an authoritative seeming post on Reddit from someone saying we've been getting it wrong, saying Robotaxi isn't L4, even though it is correct, saying it isn't L4, even though it is crap. It is L4 if Tesla take responsibility, however bad. Well, yep. I mean, people. The thing is that the kind of glitches or errors they have is they it's getting up there. It's hundreds of miles, but with a robotaxi, the ones in Austin haven't done that many miles. I noticed they've been not the limited hours and not many rides, so it's not that many hundreds. It's not even hundreds per day. So if they're getting one error per hundreds of miles, even, and they do expand, that's going to be a lot of errors. And so I think level 4 is a high level autonomy. I looked it up, the specifics of that yesterday, actually. Level 5 is completely autonomous. I don't know. Nothing's level 5, I don't think, but level 4 is what Waymo is at. And so that's the level of autonomy that they need to get to. But I really don't think Tesla's there, even whatever technically they say, just the amount of errors. The one that video, the concerning one that I talked about was the railroad the railroad crossing. I was talking to my wife about how in that video I was saying railroad, railroad, railroad. I feel like I was Scooby Doo there. Railroad. It's hard to say. I mean, over and over. But the crossing arms that come down where it just didn't see them and the safety monitor had to take over. That's such a dangerous situation, and that's not level 4. It doesn't. It seems to have a problem with thin barriers. In that same video, there was one with a chain fence, and there was one with a barrier across a side road, like a motorway exit. It was like a maintenance road, and there was a barrier there, and it didn't stop for that. I mean, after 10 years development, it seems like it should be basic stuff. So maybe they can't. Yes, Mike Lindell, that's it. That's the My Pillow guy. Thanks, Devon. The My Pillow guy, Mike, aka Mike Pillow. That's right. The Mike Lindell, that's right. He destroyed his company. Okay, I actually want to get to some questions here while we're talking. Otherwise, I'm never going to get to it. Because I could just talk in the chat all day, and it's good to do, like doing that. But I need to get some of these questions. I'll just go through some of the chat before we get into that. Otherwise, I'll leave it. Where are we up to? Doing a you are the product and your leisure is your shackles. Special going over all these big data tech bros, their companies, how they already have used data, and best worst case would be cool. Okay. All right. I could talk about that in a video. How they use data. I mean, Palantir is like the second company to me in terms of data is Palantir. Obviously, I mean, I do think that there was talk of a database. I did videos on this sort of surveillance database. I mean, the guys that run Palantir are really quite authoritarian, I think. I don't think they care about surveillance, even though they say they want to help Western governments and they're not working with China and all that. But when a government turns more authoritarian like Trump, whether you agree with that or not, that's when the danger lies. But that's for the politics channel. I'm not going to talk about that here. Full self driving. Full self driving is to Tesla what the Everything app is to Twitter and Mars is to SpaceX. The future that never arrives. Well, yeah. Will it arrive? I think the Mars is a bit of a dream, a bit of a fantasy. I think Tesla will start losing money. S&P will be keen to de-index it, and then if the price fell, if the stock price fell, they could get kicked out of the of the S&P, and they wouldn't be in the Mag 7. I mean, it's happened before during the dot-com bubble. I mean, I've talked about this on the markets channel. I'm going to talk about that more there for sure. That uh, the the first I did a first video after quite a few months about how there's an echo of the dot-com bubble. It's almost I think they started this chart as if it was 1995, I think, and they're saying we're kind of up to 1997 and the bubbles burst in 2000. It's not that history repeats or anything, but it's eerily like the dot-com bubble, what's happening with AI. So it would not surprise me if this went way past what people thought, which means that Tesla could get dragged along with that too. It could last a lot longer than you might imagine. That's why shorting is so difficult. If this is a bubble, people think, oh, you can't go higher than this, but crazy can always get crazier. And this AI stuff is like got the potential to be really crazy. Especially when there's not that many IPOs yet. There's starting to be a few, but I do remember the dot-com bubble when there were just IPOs, pre-revenue companies. So we're not at that kind of frenzy yet, but I could see us getting there. And Tesla is involved in AI. Elon's obviously got into that because he could see the wave. And he was in on that first dot-com bubble. And that's what really made him rich in the first place with PayPal. So he doesn't mind riding a bubble, especially when there's a lot of funding and development. Uh, when he says he's very confident, he means he's going to lie. That's right. You could say that. I mean, this is what the lawyers say: corporate puffery. Corporate puffery. What does that really mean? Corporate puffery. So what's the difference between like intense marketing and lies and propaganda? Not a lot. It's a legal distinction, maybe, when it comes down to it. Elon learned from Alex Jones. Oh, Alex Jones and Tucker Swanson. You mean Tucker Carlson? Yeah. Damn, I'm late to make fun of the ketamine kid. You're not late. There's always time. I seem to have pulled back a bit from that. I think he might have gone through a bit of a detox, but the talk that he gave yesterday or the day before, whenever it was about SpaceX, people were commenting on that uh, he looked he looked like he was on something there and started talking about billions and billions of robots. I saw a meme saying, uh, about that he got high and then talked and started talking about billions of robots like a teenage fantasy. Elon's tell is when he starts to stutter. Face blue, smiling face. Okay, I guess smiling face is the emoji that doesn't come up in my chat window. Yes. Yeah, he does seem to stutter on calls a lot and when he's about to say some major BS. For sure. That's definitely something that people have noticed. I've noticed that. I got to visit Auckland. Okay, bunch of places in the North Island there. Absolutely beautiful place. Yep, I love it here. Well, I lived in Sydney for a while. I like it there. As I've said in videos, I visited back there recently. I would like to spend more time there. I'm trying to think of a way to do that. I might do. I've talked about this. I kind of like to do at some point, kind of some live recordings and like meetups. I guess I mean there'd be small meetups just to test it out. I'd like to do that in different cities. Meet people, meet the community, meet you, some of you people, if you wanted to come along. I think that would be pretty cool. And Sydney would be a good place for me to do that. It's not far away. I've lived there, and Melbourne too. I would like to go to the US and meet people, but honestly, the stuff that I've said and what people have been saying, like when you come into the country, they're now asking for social media profiles, passwords, and all that. I mean, I'd just probably be sent home. Honestly, I don't know. I've been there many times though, and I do really like it there. And I'd like to, but then classifying it as work as well, that's a problem. I'm an Australian citizen, and New Zealanders can work there anyway, so it would be really easy for me to go backwards and forwards, which I haven't done because the kids were too young, but now they're growing up, and so that's one of the reasons we went there. JJ, did you hear the BYD battery scandal recently? I did hear something about that. I haven't really looked into it. I'd have to check on that. I should look into that. Was it catching fire? There's fires and stuff like that. I know the Blade battery's been really good though. I saw a demonstration early on where they were smacking a nail into a battery and it didn't catch fire, which was really impressive. In their Blade battery pack. Oh no, it wasn't BYD, it was Xiaomi. People were talking about the fires, and I didn't realize that when I made that video. So I was going to look into that. Can Tesla take the lorry to full production? Well, they're doing a factory, aren't they? Seeing it's still being built. Have they got a production line space? They're building a factory in Nevada for the truck, so it's going to be interesting to see whether that actually works out or not. Whether it's a real thing, but they are building a factory. It's taken a long time. EV lorries have been tested in New Zealand from two China manufacturers. BYD does make trucks. They have for years different kinds of trucks too, electric trucks like garbage trucks and like if you look at their website on what they're actually making, you never hear anything about it. But they've been making electric trucks for ages. I don't think semis. No, they have been making semis or big ones as big as that. If you do ever visit, get in touch. Thanks for that, and I can invite you to dine high table at my old college. Meet the academic staff. Wow, that would be great. My guess, no, go punting. Go punting, I guess. Oh, they'd have that in Christchurch here actually, because Christchurch, where I grew up, is um, yeah, Christchurch is named after Christchurch in the UK. It's very kind of English sort of influenced city, and there's like punting on the Avon River, and the old centre is the old university, and there's big botanic gardens. But that would be cool. I've been to Oxford, not Cambridge. Oxford's a nice town, or it was when I went there. It was a long time ago. Go punting. I can even book us college rooms, my guest. Wow. Elon and Peter should pull a George Eastman. What is that? What does that mean? I'll have to look that up. Elon and Peter should pull a Georgie. Who's George Eastman? I'm sorry, I don't know that reference. Rural Shaggy. Yeah, that's right. That's what I felt like saying. Railroad crossing. Mercedes have level 4 autonomous driving. Yeah, is so good. The company said they will pay all fines and supplying for lawyers. Yes, it does look good, and there's restrictions on where they can use it, which is safety first, right? They do have it, but they don't have it everywhere. Like Elon's very safe. He's very is not risk averse. So yeah, I mean, the other companies doing. I think it's going to be pretty competitive once. There's a lot of focus on Tesla, but there's a lot of companies doing this kind of thing. Rains in Austin are so extreme at times that it's not safe for human drivers until the squall passes. It does make things fun when biking. I do wonder how the Mecha Hitler AI will respond. Yeah, it's the same in Australia. Like the weather, I imagine the weather in Australia is like in Sydney, it's just sublime. Like it's sunny for 300 plus days a year. But when it rains, it can really pour down and like for a few days. I mean, that's what it's like in the outback there, right? The lakes are dry for years and then it can uh, rain a lot. But yeah, it does seem to be like that. So I saw them testing in Sydney actually, self-driving, and in the UK and in France and other places too, I think. Uh, the levels have nothing to do with have really almost nothing to do with capability. You can often infer that, say, level 4 system is more capable than the L2 system, but there's zero guarantee nor requirement for that to be the case. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go right down. I do want to get to some of the comments on the actual video, so I'm gonna go right down to the bottom of the chat, and I'll go back up. Um, BYD makes buses in California. I saw that. I saw they have they've had that for years. That's so on down low that they do make electric buses in California. I know. Why is that not? People don't talk about that more. Curtis, my nephew, visited Montana and loved it. He lives in Alberta, Canada. Okay, I haven't been to Montana, and I haven't been to Canada either. I'd like to go to all these places before I get too old. Once you get older, it's hard to travel. I did a lot of traveling when I was younger, but I'm not done. We had kids there, and we haven't traveled so much. We had 3 cats. Now we've got 2. The one that was in here died, unfortunately, a few weeks ago. But when you have kids and pets, it's kind of hard. It's hard. It seems harder to get away, especially kids. Traveling with kids is difficult. But now they're getting older. They're older teenagers, so it's it's much more fun. George Eastman invented Kodak film. Oh, right, Eastman Kodak. Right, I get you. Right, yeah. Well, they went out of business, didn't they? That was a surprise that they did not see the digital coming in a lot of, yeah. So AI, I think AI will make some things go away for sure. I live in Montana and I strongly recommend not visiting the US anytime in the near future. Is that because you want to try and keep people out? No, I'm just joking. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been seeing the ice raids. I'm about to do this video on the politics channel about the ice raids. It's just really sad. They're taking people out of Depot, and there was a guy, a doctor. He was a doctor from Iran, and he's taking his kid to daycare, and they took him out of his car. It's awful stuff going on. And so, if I went there visiting, and maybe I'd do a podcast, maybe I'd take some podcast equipment, I don't know, but there'd be a lot of questions and I might get sent home. If not, sent to a detention center, like no wonder tourism in the US is plummeting, right? If it's been telegraphed to the world that this stuff can happen even if you visit. People from Mexico, I wouldn't be, I see that Mexican tourism's gone way down, and like to Florida, it's really big, right? So it's not surprising. People think they can end up in a detention center just even if they visit there as a tourist. Question with FSD: who is ultimately responsible for an accident? If a driver makes an error and kills my daughter, someone will go to jail. Who will carry the can if FSD that is responsible? Well, that's almost exactly the case that's in Miami at the moment. That's playing out with autopilot. It was on. The guy was driving. I mean, he dropped his phone, but he had autopilot on, and he had too much confidence in the system, and was coming to the end of the road. There were signs there. There were behind the signs. There were people stopped stargazing, right? And so this Tesla blasted through the signs and killed one of them, and, and really injured the other one. And so, who's to blame? The fact that he went down to pick up his phone in the car. I mean, yeah, but also the autopilots should have seen the signs and braked. I mean, there's been phantom braking, so that's going to be a really interesting case to see what happens there. Like, who's at fault of that? And Tesla says it's driver error, of course, but is it to do with the system and people there? It's about, you know, was Tesla giving people too much confidence in the system, which is what Elon does, right? He's like, it's great. It can drive itself, blah blah blah. And now we're into these court cases where stuff's like fatal accidents have happened. Greetings from Niagara Falls. Haven't been there. That's a famous spot, isn't it? TikTok pulled down the Elon and SpaceX. I mentioned he was on ketamine. I mean, he was trillioning up, trilling him up. What? I don't, trillioning up. TikTok pull down the Elon and at SpaceX. Pull down the Elon at SpaceX? Is that oh, do you mean the statue? Right. Oh no. No, JJ, it's not a good time to visit the US right now. It's bonkers here. I know it's a shame. I really do like it though, especially I've been to New York. I love New York and I like it all. I'd like to go right around again, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be there until at least after this administration. I was thinking now that Trump and Elon are feuding, maybe I'd be okay because I'm I'm on the right side there in terms of that feud, but I don't think so. You never know what's going to happen at the border, honestly. These days, I think I've heard people being at least detained in rooms, which is, I mean, that's happened to me just between Australia and New Zealand, but not these days. Australia and New Zealand are seeming more like one country now. Like, I lived there. I came here in 2011, but and I haven't been back there that much. But this time it was like I didn't talk to anybody with electronic passports. It's a 3-hour flight. It was just like flying domestically, very similar. You had to fill out a form on the plane about that, but I didn't talk to anybody. I mean, I am a citizen, but I had a New Zealand passport with me. And so some of the businesses, like some of the even the supermarkets were like, you have like a loyalty card. That stuff worked in Australia, between Australia and New Zealand. I mean, it's just seeming like more and more easier to go backwards and forwards. So that's kind of cool. Which is the opposite of the US, right? And between opposite in Canada. Crazy. Well, Grok said there were science words. I did a deep dive on S&P rules and they can kick it out if it starts losing money. Yeah, companies do get kicked out for sure. It happens. Okay, I'm going to get some of these questions. How long have we been going for? God, it's 50 minutes already and I haven't even started on these comments. So chat, I'm gonna have to not concentrate on chat for a while. So some of these might be your comments anyway. Let's have a look. So what I do is I'm gonna go to the top. So who replied to my pinned comment? Let's see what people are saying. Thanks for linking Tesla comment. I mean, obviously you don't have to reply to a lot of these. I am reading the chat though, by the way. I'll read it, but I won't talk too much about it. Live in Niagara Falls, Canada, and people are not going over the states. Yeah, I know. I've heard seen stories of tourism and just visiting in general for whatever reason's gone way down. I'm not surprised. There's no way to meet this goal by year's end. Hopium. I'm going to reply to that. Yep. Yep, I agree. It seems implausible or impossible. Impossible, I think. Impossible, as we've talked about, unless there's a major loophole, which I think's the case, right? He's going to have a major loophole, like, oh, I just said, we're in every city, and that covers the whole population. That's what I think it's going to be. Lol, he's drunk, or Special K, of course. Just like everything Elon does these days. Yeah, I like that one. Okay. I'm going to go back to the chat for a sec. We were trying to smuggle to the Kiwis. Fees up. Fess up. What were you trying? Oh, sorry. What were you trying to smuggle to the Kiwis? Fess up. Oh, no. It's pretty easy between Australia and New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand's only got 5 million people, so it's the size of Sydney. It makes sense that there's a lot of backwards and forwards in terms of econ. It kind of makes Australia bigger. I just tend to think of Australia and New Zealand as one kind of entity in a way, even though there's rivalry like there is between Canada and the US. But that rivalry has gone to epic proportions these days, hasn't it? It's not rivalry. There's some nastiness there. All right. What credentials does the person have to provide an expert opinion on autonomy? Ask him if he has ever driven the latest FSD. Okay. Okay. So now we go. What I like to go do is go like the questions that most people have liked. I attack those first because there's a lot of replies, but a lot of people liked it. It goes to the top of the list. There's different ways of filtering these, of course, as you know, but Anyone that still believes Elon's BS needs to see a doctor and get a CAT scan. They also should see a therapist and improve their mental health. Some people might say about the haters too, but I try to be fair. It's just I see some incredibly egregious things that Elon says all the time. Canada borders can require visitors open up their mobile devices to inspect emails, social media posts. The world has become quite strange and Big Brother like. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that in the US they even. I mean, I've got so many social media profiles and even 3 different YouTube channels. I mean, how? I mean, when they say you'd have to disclose it, would you do you, I mean, I don't know. I don't. I have to have a list of my passwords to even remember them these days. I do to literally have a, quite like a spreadsheet type of thing for it. Okay, I'm going to reply to that one. Needs to see a doctor for a CAT scan. I'll just say it's hard to be. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Yeah, it's really hard to believe much of what Elon says, right, these days. It's true. I mean, it's like you hear him talking. It's like, honestly, m- more than 50% BS. It's like, it's just getting ridiculous what he says and how many, I'm not going to say, well, lies. Yeah, it's lies. It is. Fanboy culture is the root problem. Yeah, it's like a cult. Yeah, it is a cult. I mean, it is. It's a cult. I mean, what is a cult? If you look at what a cult is, it kind of fits. I'm glad to see that I see there's 56 people on the stream at the moment. 50, 70, sorry, 75, which is great. I mean, if it drops too low, I'll stop, but I'm doing this anyway. But it's great to chat. And if people want to do it regularly, I will do it. But I'm doing this anyway. Why not just go live, is what I thought. But I'm not being super productive at answering the questions in the comments. I am in the chat, but not in the actual comments. Uh, I guess the answer is to save phone to cloud, factory reset across border, restore from cloud. Oh, who can be bothered doing that? Honestly, that would be it's like the old days. What was good about going to Australia is that I had roaming set. Y- I just bought a small package for 4 of us each, and when you hit the airport, it just clicks over to the network that's set up, and it works straight away. Really good. That's what I mean about how it seems like the same country now. That stuff used to be complicated. I mean, you can still get a different SIM card, but it's even now not expensive just to use roaming. Things have changed from that for the better from that point of view. All right. Next question here. Focus. I really hope that at some point the law will catch up with Musk for these obviously false statements. If any other CEO got on stage and made such outrageous statements, they would be locked up. I know. I'm going to say this because say yep, Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos. How do you spell Theranos? Theranos. Because she's from Theranos, must be looking at all this and wondering how he gets away with it. Because that's true. Like, I mean, if you look at what she did and what he's saying, it's really, I don't know, allegedly not that different, right? Too big to fail. On the other hand, if people stop buying Tesla, they have the whole production capacity to build. So I'm gonna get into soon. I'm gonna get into some of the news of today. Look at what's today. I haven't looked yet, but I've got it set up to look. So we can do that together if anybody wants to hang out. And so it's kind of research for the video that I'm going to make today. I'm going to look at all the news stories and decide what's the most interesting. And maybe you can help me with that. Which would be make a good video. Sometimes there's so much news, it's hard to decide which to do, and sometimes there's not enough. It depends. Uh, Nobody died in her products. Somebody says yes, that's true. Nobody died. It was definitely possible that could happen, but they kind of stopped it before it got to that. I mean, well, did anybody die? They got wrong testing, right? The testing was wrong, and but with Tesla, people definitely have died. Tesla board is irrelevant. This is the chat. It's fully controlled by Elon. Yep. This is NK Nelson. Hi. Who personally stacked the board unless there's a hostile proxy bloodbath, which he is trying to prevent. Nothing will change. Yeah, I mean, his brother's on the board. I mean, is that a red flag? And what's his brother going to stand up to him? I mean, if you, I mean, I've got our kids, two brothers. Like, I mean, you've got an older brother, he usually dominates, right? And then Robin Denholm has been the chair of the board, has sold over $500 million worth of stock. She's become very, very rich. And I saw a real estate thing in Australia about her house in Sydney, like in one of them, like the primo spots where she was building this super expensive house on one of the nice northern beaches, far north. I mean, she's become very rich from Elon, and yeah, it's in it. The board's in his pocket for sure. All right, back to these. Too big to fail. On the other hand, if people stop buying Tesla, they have a whole production capacity to build robotaxis. That's true. That's true. That's true. There'd be a lot of capacity. A lot capitals. I mean, they're not using all the factories. Remember a time when they were building factories and then they were going to build one in Mexico? People were saying, oh, they're going to make 20 million cars a year. They're going to need factories all over the place. Where's the next one? Where's the next one? And now they can't use the capacity that they've got. Or face shareholder lawsuits. Apparently, Musk has been trying to restrict or when shareholder lawsuits can be filed by Tesla shareholders. Yeah, haven't talked about that, but that's true. That's usually a sign that he knows he has or expects to engage in something shady or as Tesla CEO. So I think he's made it so you have to have a certain percentage of shareholding to kind of sue. So, somebody with, say, a lawyer or a group of lawyers just with not many shares could not sue, I guess. So they have to organize some major shareholders to sue. Okay. He really needs to be in jail. I'm going to get a lot of these comments. All Musk needs to do is put a robotaxi in each area and hit his target. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's what I think will happen. He can put one robotaxi in each. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. Because that's the way he can say half the population, right? If there's one robotaxi in the city, anybody in the city could ride it, right? So as long as he has one robotaxi going in New York, say, even if it's just a few blocks, theoretically anybody could use it, so it's covering the whole population. Ah, damn. FSD propaganda on Twitter.
Oh, be quiet.
Holmar's blog.
Okay, back to the comments.
Back to the chat. Theranos reached 9 billion before falling to zero. Yep. And Enron. Like people forget about Enron. I think uh there's a good podcast. Is it called Is it called Founders? Can't remember. But like they do 3, 4 hour podcasts looking into different companies, and they did one on Enron. It was really interesting. Is it Founders? Can't remember. And like it was one of the biggest companies in the S&P 500. It was had a lot of attention. It was very much like Tesla in terms of the people, the cult like following, the rocketing share price, and then it all came crashing down very quickly in the end, but it did last a long time. These things can go on for a long time. Tesla shareholders are like teenagers who still believe in Santa Claus. I'm going to say some of it is fantasy. Yeah, but the people believe anything, don't they? Their cult believes anything. Tesla's 15 times peak market cap of Enron, 100 times peak. I know if something catastrophic did happen, it would be so epic. I was questioning whether it would hurt the economy in general, but I don't think so actually. There'd be a lot of people out of work. Um, The dot-com bubble seemed really big and it collapsed, but it didn't actually hurt the economy very much, whereas the global financial crisis, because it was involved with the banks and real estate, it did. But I'm not sure it would actually do widespread damage, but it would be massive. It might dent the whole stock market because people would suddenly be less confident, and it would definitely have major things. So interesting times if crap starts to hit the fan like that. Oh, JJ, did you see the $5,900 personal humanoid robot Unitree just dropped? I did see that. Really impressive. Um, I may actually question. I was looking at those videos. I mean, I don't know if they're real or not. They seem too good to be true. And I did do a video with a Unitree robot in it, and a lot of people in the comments said it was AI or CGI. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's helped by that, but 5,900 and Elon's talking about $30,000 robots. So yeah, there could be a lot of competition in that space, as sure. And from China, I think Tesla does get components from China as well. They were talking about the supply chain on the robots being a problem. So there's that as well. Okay, next in the comments here with 20 likes. Robotaxi will be rolled out on Mars next year. Alpha Centauri 2027, and we're targeting time travel by the end of the decade. Elmo. Yep. Yep. Bigger and bigger. Galaxy domination. Galaxy domination next. Easy solution over this debate. Call up various insurance companies and ask them the price of insuring a robotaxi. Yeah, good point. That's all to be worked out. Who's liable? That's yeah. Is it Tesla? Is it the passenger? It's not the passenger. If it's excuse me. Just wipe my nose there. I don't sniff. All right. Taxi system is already saturated. Tesla will just get a piece of the pie. This is the chat. On the chat, Lord of the Lash says, no, not create millions of rides out of nowhere. Yeah. Possibly. I mean, this is the thing about the basing valuation on the addressable market, which is what happens in exuberant times. It happened during the dot-com bubble. People stop talking about the financials and how much money and the total addressable market. When you hear that as a way to analyze a company or a stock, it's a red flag. It's like eyeballs during the dot-com bubble where they talked about how many eyeballs, and ultimately that did work out if you look at Google, how many people use search and stuff, but I got carried away with that. And it's kind of like that, what's the addressable market for autonomous driving? It's some people are only guessing. Waymo's going to Tokyo, where part of the justification for that is that it's a big population, it's an aging population, and there's a lack of drivers. And so that is prime kind of seems like a good bet, and I agree with that if that's true. Because people are going to want autonomous rides as they get older. Older people you can't drive after a certain age, or depends on what happens. That makes sense. I like the idea of when I'm older, if I can't drive, to jump in an autonomous taxi, if possible. Okay, I replied to that one, didn't I? Okay, at this rate, I'll develop FSD before Elon and I'm pretty much retired. Okay, I'm going to swap over to having a look at the news soon. People are going to get bored of this, right? I'll just go through this quickly. Tesla investors are dumber than Disney investors. Well, it's funny that Elon wanted to boycott Disney, right? He led a boycott of Disney, and there's a boycott of Tesla, but he doesn't like that. But he's okay if it's other companies. He's Trump's grade delusional. Okay, I'll just like these. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain, right? The Wizard of Oz. It is like that, isn't it? Because it's like that with the teleoperated robots. Literally at the We Robot event, there was a robot at the bar serving drinks, and there was literally a curtain behind it. And I was thinking, is the teleoperator actually behind there, or are they in it? Because they want a very little lag on the connection for teleoperating. So closer the better, right? You'd think, depending on what the connection is. CEOs need drug testing. Wow, that's not going to happen with Elon. I mean, he did a drug test after, but um, somebody said that the tests were like a 5-year a 5-year-old. So you're wondering if he got X to do a urine test. Since Elon considers employees to be robots, the robotaxi concept is not violated by the presence of a human. Okay, we're over here now, so I'm going to swap over to the news. I can go back to those in my own time. Let's have a look. Get this up. This is the news section here. And let me just minimize that. And let's get into today's news, huh? I'm sure you were getting sick of those questions, so this is where we are. I'm going to have a look. The first thing I do is go to Electric, actually. It's a good source of news. Fred Lambert is, I wouldn't say he's become more anti-Elon and anti-Tesla. He used to be a big supporter, and so it is a good, actually, I find stories here. You'll notice that I refer to Electric a lot. Musk, and so this is the chat again. Musk refuses to use LiDAR because he doesn't like the way the vehicle looks. Initially, it was cost, but Chinese makers have incorporated LiDAR nicely. I see that in some of the Chinese EVs. You can hardly notice it's there. I mean, it's got cheaper, it's got smaller. See BYD, for example. Yeah, I know. It's just I just think it was the wrong. I mean, cost is only one thing, and the cost. I mean, being a tech guy, he should realize that cost goes down, s- sort of exponentially. Well, I don't know if it's exponential, but it cost does of most tech goes down, and Elon would know that. So was that a bad choice that he made there of not doing lidar and radar? If safety first. Okay, let's look for some good stories here. I do like looking at all of these stories, by the way, on different car brands and what's the sustainability and electricity blog, really, isn't it? Hyundai's new Ioniq 6 takes the crown for Korea's longest range domestic EV, 350 miles. Do not like the look of that car. Some people would, but I don't like it. Tesla founder is disappointed Musk cancelled $25,000 EV and made dumpster looking truck. Now there's a headline. Could that be the story for today? That's from 2 hours ago. Tesla founder is disappointed Musk cancelled the $25,000 EV and made it. Yeah. I think that was Kim Java did an interview with Martin Eberhardt. I haven't looked at that, so maybe that could be a story. Is that interesting? I don't know. Is it interesting enough? We'll see. It's a good photo too, with the dumpster, the same color as the dumpster. They're going to stop making the Cybertruck. That is my prediction. They're just not selling enough. Musk can't sell you an over-the-air LiDAR upgrade or $10,000 like he could with the FSD a few years back. Okay. At this point, it's just him being obstinate as he doesn't want to admit he was wrong. Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of that about the Cybertruck. Everybody knows it was his baby, right? And so he's going to be reluctant to get rid of it, but they're going to have to just for economic reasons. But could hurt the company if they keep it on. They've got a big production line. Not that they, not that they kind of need it because they're not selling enough. They've got plenty of capacity. Oops. Is that all? That can't be all. Poll. Okay. More. Kia's electric van spotted in the US again, but it will never. Will it ever launch? Yeah, vans. Vans are another one, aren't they? New Texas battery storage project runs on used EV packs. Okay, so I think the one about the Tesla founder, I'm just going to pop that into a new window because that's a definitely could be a story for today, but I don't know, maybe. And this EV just launched in China for under $5,000, talking about affordable EVs. I mean, it's kind of gimmicky, small, limited market, but still. There's the Honda, there's a similar one. People do want those, a small EV with a big personality. Tesla's more affordable model shown in spy shots on Chinese social media. All right, okay. See, they camouflage them. The long promised more affordable Tesla model has been spied on Chinese social media, and it's disappointingly about what we expected, a slightly decontented, is that a word? Version of Model Y. And that's what Elon said on the earnings call, that it was going to be a Model Y. He said that. It's called the Wank Pants in honor of his German roots. Fred Lambert blocked me on Twitter for challenging him perfectly nicely on his excessively pro Tesla bent. This was about 3 years ago. Lambert softened and finally fully flipped after the Nazi salutes. Yeah, he has gone sort of progressively. I mean, I took that path too. A lot of people have once they saw the light. But yeah, he was like electric, and Fred Lambert, who runs, if you don't know, runs electric. He definitely was pro, and in fact, I'm sure probably money changed hands in sponsorship in the early days, but a lot of people have progressively, not just the politics, just of Elon's lies and all that. What what about Slate? $50 down. I did a video about Slate. It was a really popular video. People like the idea of the Slate. I like the concept, how you can at the base, was it 20,000 or 25,000, but you can modify it however you want and make it really bare bones Slate model, or you can add to it. Should we look at that one? Not that, but this more affordable model. I mean, there's not much to this. It's just going to be a Model Y, right? Elon already said that, so I don't know. It's not that interesting. We've seen that. Sorry. So those look like the two Tesla stories they've got today. They're semi-interesting. I'll think about. Sometimes I combine them together if it's not gonna take more than like 15 minutes to talk about in a video. Tesla Inc.'s $16.5 billion deal with Samsung for HW6 chips, but still no HW3 solution. Okay, so Fred's going to be talking about that. He talks about that a lot, how people with hardware 3 have missed out, really. And then there's no solution, but talking about hardware 6. So $16.5 billion deal according to Elon Musk. And I think that's why the stock price is up today. Is it up today? It is up today. I saw it. Let's have a look. I'll just check the stock price. Yeah, 3% up today. I think it's because of that deal, right? Okay, that's from yesterday's Mary Kay Goes Electric with a pink Cadillac. Those are very American cars, aren't they? The Cadillacs, for sure. Always in movies, when you see Cadillacs, it strikes me as it's like a super American car to put in a movie. It's often so different to foreign cars, but this one not so much, really. I mean, that could look like a number of European cars. That's kinda cool too. The RBW's electric roadster is a sporty modern take on British classics. Looks like an MG, right? So this is the benefit of live streams, that I can talk about stuff that I would never talk about in a video, just incidental stuff like this. Electric motorcycle, fast. They're fast. Okay, let's move on to other. So this is Fred on. I do like to check Fred's X. He is quite provocative. So this was interesting. This was from yesterday. I didn't put this in the video, but so the operating income of Tesla, which has gone down since that point in Q4 2022. Somebody overlaid this, I guess Earl did on here, woke Elon, where they had the liberal base of customers. Then Elon turned anti woke. Sales literally started going down, and then turned MAGA and they went down more, up a little bit, but then continued down. So is that the real reason? Is that how we can look at it? It seems it's an interesting theory because he has alienated a lot of buyers. Okay, that's all. Fred's into UFC, not into UFC. So many people are, but I don't know, did not into it. So Dan O'Dowd, this is the robot. I put this in a video about there's nothing autonomous. This is interesting. Dan says Tesla's full self-driving software requires a supervisor. Tesla's robotaxi requires a safety monitor, and Tesla's autonomous robot requires a teleoperator. See, it broke down there. It says being teleoperated. They didn't have a talk because I think that makes it too obvious that it's teleoperated because it's just somebody's voice talking through it. So they didn't. That apparently they don't have this time this time in the diner. So there's nothing new there. I'll move on. So this is the New York Times. I like to check if there's any news stories, let's say in the past week, about Elon. Elon warns of potentially rough times ahead. So that's from the earnings call. But I actually think that what's going to happen in this next quarter, because the tax credit's going away in the US, they're probably the sales will go up, and probably the market will get excited about that. But then they'll go down once the tax credit goes away, and Elon can pull the rabbit out of the hat and convince Trump to keep it going, keep the government money coming in. But yeah, rough times, that's what he meant by that. And that's why part of why the stock went down. But that's kind of old news. I wouldn't make a video about that. Now to see Tesla Q, can you see that? Yeah, you can see the headings there. So I have this list called Tesla Q and Tesla Influencer. So I look at both sides, and it's dramatically different. So Tesla Q is probably people shorting, quite a lot of people shorting. As I said, if you weren't here earlier, I don't short. How is in the chat again? How's the cheaper model? Chris says, how's the cheaper Model Y any better than the base 2526 Chevrolet Equinox LTEV at 32K? I know. Marquez Brownlee did a review of, that channel that he does reviews of cars, not all electric, but he really liked that car. Thought it was really good. I haven't seen it in person myself, but yeah, good value, and it's getting good reviews. Chevrolet cars, EV. Elon opened the diner filled with robots that are operated by humans. I know. It's just a gimmick. I guess people go in to see it, so it kind of works. Let's see. Did you see the cardboard hats at the diner? At that diner to ensure you look like a moron. Yeah, I did see that. And there's the Cybertruck boxes too, right? Of the burger boxes. So I saw, was it Miss Jillian on X who did some live video there yesterday where the protest was on, which it was pretty noisy. But the fries they look pretty horrible, to be honest. And you can choose them with tallow, which is lard, fat, or oil, and she got the ones with fat, and they were very unimpressive for. I think they were $8. They were just like McDonald's looking size of McDonald's fries, $8. Nobody wants the cars, tax credits going, losses from Q4 onwards, crash. If he wants Trump's help, maybe stirring the Epstein pot was a bad move. Yeah. Well, the thing about that is, like, he must have known all along, right? So he worked with Trump even though he knew. I mean, this is the thing. There are different ways to criticize all that. That's for the politics channel, really. I mean, I'd like to talk about it here, but I know a lot of people aren't that interested. That's why I have done the politics channel. So test the queue. What's up here? Wait, do I buy or lease, or what do I do? Like that meme. So yeah, there's a lot of people shorting here. Motorhead definitely shorts. At most large hedge funds, sorry. At most large hedge funds that take their risk managers seriously, Tesla has likely been put on the restricted list. There's no good reason to buy, yet the no-brainer short thesis really works. It was $142 before Q1 2024 EPS earning, that's earnings per share of 45 cents, and is now 130% after Q2 EPS of 40. So yeah, he does a newsletter and stuff. He's been shorting for ages. Shorting Tesla's dangerous because it's so meme stockish. You can have one one reasonable news item and it can rocket, or it can even rocket on bad news, but it can also go down for 6 months. So I guess it's, good short sellers might have been making money, I guess. Joseph Carlson is a critic of Tesla. That's why I put him on this list. Here's my view of Tesla versus Google and Amazon. I believe Google is better robotaxi than I believe Google is a better robotaxi than Tesla. That's Waymo, of course. I believe Amazon is better humanoid robot play than Tesla. So the reason I don't own Tesla is that I believe there are different companies, each leading in the two big blah blah. So yeah, he's an Amazon and Google shareholder. It's Joseph. Looking more and more like Errol. Nice, that's a reply. What's this? Sprinkle of Cybertruck FSD mishaps. Let's have a look at this, shall we? This, because as you know, I put these in my videos. Let's see what is this sound here.
Okay, so now, don't, and here we go. Yeah, so it doesn't even engage anymore. So let's do this again.
Okay, so that's Andy Z German who does does videos, live videos, and videos of his Cybertruck and FSD. So he actually, I mean, people who do that actually show the real errors, not like the Tesla pumpers, the influencers, who we'll see in a minute. Uh, it's just the contrast between this stream, this list, this stream, and the pumpers is amazing. I'm not going to read this out because it might hurt the thing, but you can read that on screen if you want. Elon Musk burner account parody is this is. So Elon Musk today on Tesla's Optimus robot. Hypothetically, if Tesla were making a billion of these a year at scale, maybe it would be $30,000 each. I'm just guessing that's $30 trillion in revenue. So that's Elon math and Elon prediction. And people say in that stream that he might have been on something, so he starts to predict more when he is. Tesla is Enron for millennials, says this person here. Interesting theory again. So I'm popping these into a new window to save them for later for my video because these could, sometimes the memes are fun to put in there. So I despise Google as a company, but I trust their cars over Tesla all day, every day, says Bendy Bruce. Yep. Me too. Like if I went to, I mean, they're not here in New Zealand, but if I went to LA, I would definitely use them. I mean, I would visiting there for sure. Try it out. Chris says Tesla has almost cleared out its Model Y inventory in California thanks to the expiring US tax credit. Q3 will look better for Tesla, but Q4 may be a disaster. I agree. Q3 is going to give the Tesla influencers, the pumpers a lift, and investors because they're going to the sales will go up for sure because people want to buy before the tax credit goes away. But after that, what? But we'll have to see. Elon could pull a rabbit out of the hat. He's obviously talking about robots to keep the share price up, even though they're not really progressing very much at all compared to. I mean, you look at some of those Chinese humanoids, and they're pretty good. If Tesla can sell vehicles, then people still must want them. There are many competitors. Yeah, people do want EV. The market for EVs has gone up. EVs aren't dying at all. They're not going down. The market's gone up a lot, even while Tesla's has been going down. A lot of racist stuff on X. So Gordon Johnson So he's not talking about Tesla there. People talking, short sellers talking here. I'm not waiting. So Earl says, I'm not waiting. Taping together 2 HW3 chips so I can have a Tesla robotaxi right now. Uh-huh. Musk likely leaked an internal memo on a planned Bay Area robotaxi rollout last Friday, which didn't happen. It stopped the sell off of Tesla after a bad Q2 earnings call. My latest report shows how Tesla knew it couldn't test robotaxis in California, but leaked the story anyway. See, that's a classic Elon tactic, if that's true, of keeping the stock price up while bad news is happening by putting out something that could happen, a rumor on purpose. We're going to be starting in California, we're going to be starting in New York, whatever, and it does seem to boost the price. There are certain analysts who really are pumpers as well, Dan Ives being one of them. Okay, I'll pop that one up for possible use. There we go. Elon is so manipulative. Indeed. He knows how to manipulate the market. Either, I'm not saying it's illegal, but he like out of all this, how many CEOs kind of constantly pump the stock price and pump the market cap by coming up with things that aren't true? Tesla is using physical AI and the computer needed is different than LLM, says Robert. Well, yeah, I mean, they do. Elon can build massive data centers. There's no doubt about that. They all are, but he is questionable. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm not going to read that. There's a bit of abuse here. Insults. So Elon says Samsung's giant new Texas fab is dedicated to making Tesla's next generation A16 chip. The strategic importance of this is hard to overstate. Oh, he wouldn't overstate things, would he? No, he wouldn't overstate. Here's one from Gary Black, who he talks about Tesla a lot, but I don't think they own that much stock if they do it all at the moment. Morgan Stanley sees $200 billion market for self-driving cars by 2030. $200 billion market. Analysts forecast that the market for self-driving vehicles will hit 200 billion by 2030. What do you think of that? Do you think that that is realistic? 200 billion, but it's only 5 years away. $200 billion market. I guess they're going on what the market cap of Uber and how Uber's going. Sales of autonomous cars with level 2 and above autonomy will jump to 28% of unit sales. I mean, level 2 and above isn't self-driving, really. The analysts estimate that the smart driving will generate 300 billion to 400 billion of revenue by 2035. Well, we'll see. This is the, target market, I guess. But it's kind of speculation. It is just speculation. What are they going on, really? They're going on what Uber and taxis, and guessing from there. So stonking here puts lots of Tesla crashes. Driver crashes Tesla into Sunny Isles Beach Canal. Couple rescued by Good Samaritan. Okay, let's just look at that.
Water pours out of this Tesla as crews pull it from a canal in Sunny Isles Beach. Around 6:15, it plunged into the water after witnesses say it sped through the security gate for a nearby building.
This is unbelievable. This is unreal to me. It all happened so fast.
Emmanuel Machado was working at that gate and watched it happen. He didn't hesitate to jump in after the car to help the man and woman inside.
I didn't think of nothing else. I just took my shirt off. I just jumped in the water. I told them to bring the window down because they were trying to open the door.
Machado says he then helped pull the woman through her window and get her to safety. You can see the car floating in these photos. Another picture just a few minutes later shows it at the bottom of the canal. A dive team showed up around 8:30 to hook the car to a tow truck and remove it. The couple is okay, but Machado says this is a night he won't soon forget.
Yeah, so they were trying to open the door and he said pull down the window. So if the electric windows aren't working, you have to smash the window, I guess. I don't think there's a manual. So they were kind of lucky that the windows could come down, that the electrics were still working. Here's another one from Dan. Watch Tesla full self-driving 13.2.9, which is new. Swerve into the wrong side of the road straight toward oncoming traffic. See, this kind of thing is so they can't yet. Imagine being in the back seat when something like this was happening with no safety driver. Let's have a look. Scary AF. If you didn't have any control of it. It's happened so fast too, this kind of stuff. Look at that, across the yellow line. Oh. See, disengage, had to pull it back straight away to avoid a crash. I mean, that is the kind of thing, you know, it can drive for a few hundred miles and nothing happens, and then something like that happens this quickly. It's just not ready. And he provides the source of that. So these are the kind of clips I put in, you'll notice in the videos sometimes. Trying to get to HW69 as soon as possible. Musk is running backward. Okay, let's have a look at. We're going to have a look at the Tesla. Oh, here we go. Here's the protest. I did a video about the protest. This is a lame but super expensive protest in front of the newly opened Tesla diner. You have to ask yourself, who's truly behind this weird garbage? So this is, you know, Tesla pumpers saying that it's all funded by Soros. I've seen that again. Soros is in mental decline. He's not in charge of wouldn't be involved in anything like this. But, you know, there are NGOs, but this, I think, is not funded by any group in particular. I think this was first in London, I think. Anything. So Grant says, who's one of the top Tesla Q people, anything to believe there are no valid reasons to dislike Elon Musk. So he does his own live on X, I think. Those puppets are genius. Yeah, I agree. They're pretty clever, aren't they? I'm pretty sure it was people in London who first came up with those, but they're good, aren't they? It it works really well. I think it's hilarious. But obviously, Gally. Oh, Gale. I thought it was Gally. Miss Gillian says, I hope they make the chips better than their defunct refrigerators. Talking about Samsung. I mean, I've got a Samsung phone. It's pretty good. I had an iPhone for years and years and years and years, and I finally decided to try the Samsung Galaxy. It's been pretty good. There's a bit of changing from Apple to Android was a bit of the biggest hassle, but It's pretty good. There's not much difference between the phones these days. The top phones, there's really not a lot of difference. It's the Apple ecosystem that's the benefit really there with Apple. I'm using an Apple Mac computer. Just changing things like changing files, but sending files between one and the other, they make it difficult. All right, I think I've seen a lot there. So I've popped up that's to think about what could be. Yeah, I think might put that in a video. So I use Ground News, by the way, here. Found this really good. I'm not an affiliate or anything. Maybe I should be one. But it shows you the news bias on things. Shows you the story and the different bias from different media. So I've got here just news about Tesla. Musk says Tesla Samsung Electronics signs $16.5 billion chip deal. Yep. Saw that already. Tesla takedown protesters have a new target. I've done a video about that. Tesla to roll out human driver chauffeur service in the Bay Area. Yeah. It's basically is that, isn't it? Full list of MAGA influencers at odds with Trump's admin. So that includes Elon, of course. And then the Wall Street Journal, which I do have a subscription to. Let's just look at the last 30 days. So that's Tesla Samsung deal to make AI chips. I don't know if I'll make the video about that. I might put it in a video. Imagine the people in the condos or apartments behind the huge screen at the Tesla restaurant who have to listen to the movie audio blaring at all day as well. That's from Don't Worry, Be Happy. Yes, I mean that was they're 4-story screens, and there's on the right hand. If you're looking at it on the right hand side, there's an apartment building right there. It just had their view cut off, so they would have had to go through the whole legal process of that. I would hate to live there. Imagine living there, and then the noise. They said the sound from the screens is supposed to go into the cars and into the restaurant and not outside, but it definitely. Some people who have been there says they definitely hear it. I mean, it would not be a pleasant place to live around there. It's made it that real estate or just living there horrible, I'm sure. NK Nelson says Amazon has a lot of listings for window break devices that includes a free Tesla keychain. I've got one of those in the car to break the window. This is the thing with this. The windows are becoming hard to break in the Cybertruck. Really hard to break, and so that becomes dangerous. And there have been cases like that already where people have been stuck inside. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Musk ignores all laws, it seems. His whole naturalization process was allegedly fraudulent. Trump listens to Bannon. He may manage to revoke his U.S. citizenship yet. I don't think it's going to happen, but Bannon's definitely an enemy, an adversary to Musk for sure. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anything much in the Wall Street Journal there. But that chip deal's the biggest news, and that'll be why the stock went up. Whether it demands that or not, I mean, Elon Musk tells Tesla investors to focus on future filled with robots. Of course he does. I mean, that could be a good video. There could be a good video on that, I think, maybe. That's a podcast. Becky Peterson. And there's a podcast. All right. I'll have a look at that after the stream. So Real Tester on Reddit here has sometimes some funny things. I probably should have showed this earlier. People have dropped off the stream. I visited the Tesla diner. It was a bit of a disaster inside EVs have done. So look at that story. This is the hot takes. Ed Sheeran is back in New Zealand. That's what I'm being advertised. Elon Musk apparently wants to build a tunnel in Nashville. What? Oh, he said that that's another thing that he uses to pump. Elon Musk Tesla diner is the Cybertruck of restaurants. I read that. It's a Rolling Stone article, and that's not a good thing. So Samsung to manufacture Tesla's new gen chips. Elon Musk with a straight face. Tesla robotaxi will cover half the US population. So that's what yesterday's video was about. Was of course the Mecha Hitler in West Hollywood. The Mick Hitlers in West Hollywood, says Desi. Exactly. Yes, Mick Hitler's a good name for the diner. I should use that. Thank you. I'm going to steal that. Tesla take down new target. Elon Musk Tesla diner. Yep, that's the protest that happened on the weekend. Oh, this is the video with Tesla's forgotten founder speaks out, and this is with Kim Java. So,
do you still own shares of Tesla?
Yes, I've owned shares in Tesla longer than anybody.
Before there was the Tesla that almost everyone knows about worldwide, there was this Tesla, a scrappy startup founded and named by this man. It's kind of crazy to go back in time and think this is what started it all right here. We're taking a small plane to go meet someone very special on an island. Let's go. Today we take you inside the mind of Tesla's.
I do actually. Apart from the other Tesla influencers, I do like Kim Jarvis. Sometimes she doesn't do it just on Tesla. She does it on different EVs and solar stuff. So it's not just focused on Tesla.
Number one, its co-founder and original CEO, Martin Eberhard, asking him some tough questions. How differently do you think that Tesla would have gone if you had gone with a different investor? In an exclusive interview with a man who started one of the world's most valuable companies.
The idea of Tesla came to me while I was on a date with a woman who became my wife.
So don't worry, be happy says that Kim Java interview was really good.
Tesla's
I watched this
stories
all
are
after the stream.
complicated. For Martin,
it's 51 minutes long, so that's quite long. But yeah, that's a good interview she did, I think. It's a good idea to do an interview with him. Elon would not have liked this.
Gave up his baby for adoption, and the child grew up to be world famous and won a Nobel Prize. But the adopted parent is kind of controversial, so I'm sure there are some mixed emotions.
He's done amazing, right? The company is huge. He became the richest man in the world from it. I can't criticize too much.
Was that hard for you, just giving up that control? But before we get too far into that, please make sure you're subscribed to our channel if you haven't already. We know that we have over 1 million of you guys watching our videos every month, but not all of you are subscribed. And just subscribing to our channel is one of the biggest thank yous that we can get. There's a ton of controversy over who was the original founder at Tesla. So what we know right now is that Martin Eberhard and his good buddy Mark Tarpenine had the original idea, and that's where they looked for investors, and they came across Elon Musk, who was not as big and famous as he is now, but he did have money, so they got him to invest in their company. My goal is to get to know Martin Eberhard, what type of person he is.
So yeah, he was an investor. Elon was an investor. He did have money coming off the PayPal sale, and they put it into that, and he sued. I mean, I know the story. He sued for co-founder status. They didn't want to give it to him, but he sued for it and won because he had invested in it, and sort of it went from there. And they were really, it was not good vibes in that relationship. Just jump to the middle. Why? What's in the middle? I need to go to YouTube.
Do you still own shares of Tesla?
Yes.
Do they have a... Let's look at this. Financially rescued, naming Tesla at Disneyland, Tesla or Tesla. Biggest investor, some guy named Musk. I gave away too much of Tesla. Okay, let's look at this.
There you have it.
Well,
so when I say Tesla, I've always said Tesla, and I get a lot of people
How's
being
the
like,
volume?
no,
Is
it's
that loud
Tesla,
enough?
but you are the one that came up with the name, and you say
Well,
Tesla.
I don't know. I guess I don't know how he pronounced his own name. I don't know. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Whatever. You know.
But if you're naming the company and you named it Tesla, I just have to get that out there for everyone.
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard this Tesla thing. That's new for me.
Okay.
Tesla.
There's a little bit of a debate.
I call it
because
Tesla.
Somebody else that's very famous says Tesla.
Whatever.
with an accent. And then
Elon does say Tesla.
you have to go and you have to get some funding, right, to be
We
able to
spent a
build
lot of
these.
time talking to investors.
So what were some of those initial pitches to investors like? Like, what was their reaction when you would go pitch this?
Well, it's complicated because almost all VCs think that they're experts on cars because they have a Porsche or a BMW or something. So they all have very inbuilt opinions about them. A typical one, for example, is that I couldn't imagine a sports car that didn't sound like my Ferrari or my Porsche or my Corvette or whatever they have. Well,
How much money are you trying to raise at this point?
I had a full business plan. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a plan to build this car and the next several cars, and I had an idea of how much money I needed for the first several steps. So our first fundraising round, we were looking between 5 and 10 million. We in the end.
This is if you're not sure, this is one of the actual founders of Tesla. I love Tesla. I see that comment in the chat.
Raised almost 7,
Okay.
of which the biggest investor was some guy named Musk. But the other investments came from VCs who had made money in my previous gig, and also from like my dad and my brother, and friends and family kind of thing.
Any advice to people that are going and pitching their ideas to different VCs? Because you have a lot of experience doing that.
I mean, I've been on both sides of it. I've pitched and I've received, but I'm going to start off with family kind of thing.
Any
I'm jumping to, I gave away too much Tesla.
advice to people that are going and pitching their ideas to different VCs? Because you have a lot of experience doing that.
I mean, I've been on both sides of it. I've pitched and I've received, but I'm going to start off by saying that I suck at raising money. I've done it, but I always give away too much of the company. You know, I've seen other entrepreneurs raise enough money to run their company and still hold on to control, and I was nowhere near that. So my advice is, I don't know, not all that relevant really, because I don't think I'm good at it.
So you think if you were to go back in time right now, you would have put some of that control in the initial contracts?
What I was raising money for in both of my previous companies, this one and Nuva Media, was so against the grain of what the VCs wanted to invest in that I didn't have a lot of leverage. You know, so I don't know if I would do better. I mean, would I take money from Musk a second time? Yeah, I guess so. Later, at the time that he came into our world, I had already been talking to another VC that was in the middle of deep due diligence, and they were looking really positive. And when Musk came along, he was on a tight schedule. He said that, you know, my wife is expecting triplets or whatever on some particular date, and the investment round has to be closed before that because I'm going to be busy. So we closed the deal before that time. And I went to this other VC firm and said, we now have a schedule and an investor. If you want to participate in that round, you've got to finish by this time, and this is just not possible for us. We can't. We have a process, and we go through the process. Later on, I ran into that same venture capitalist and asked him. I said, how likely were you to close the deal? You know, what do you think it was? He says, we were 85%. We probably would have done it, but not on your schedule.
Mm-hmm. How differently do you think that Tesla would have gone if you had gone with a different investor?
It would have been different. You know,
Here's an interesting comment. Don't worry, be happy, says Martin seems extremely happy with his life and got to see his vision for electric vehicles come to pass, knowing it all came from his vision. Happiness is living a good life. The best revenge. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, to be bitter, like being bitter can actually kill you, right? I think that's true if you're unhappy. So seems to have got past it, and you know, he was the founder. People know that. He doesn't seem bitter, even though there was the suing that went on for the co-founder and he lost the company, but it has, you know, it was that original Roadster that he was involved in, and that really did start it off.
The Tesla business plan, you know, what Tesla did for the first couple of years was pretty much what we had mapped out. We said, this is our first car. Our next car, we said, is either going to be a luxury sedan or a luxury SUV, depending on the market. Turns out Tesla did both. And the next car we'll be trying to drive the price down. That's the Model 3. That's kind of as far as we went.
And there's so much to be said for having a dream or a vision and wanting to do something, and then actually doing that, making it happen, finding the supply chain, hiring the right people, and bringing it to the level that it is today. Now, Martin's vision for Tesla was definitely similar to what Tesla did, but it did not include the technology. It did not include autonomous driving. It didn't include robots. It didn't include all the AI. So it's a very different company today than Martin originally anticipated that it would be.
We did not.
Yeah, sure. Looks like a nice spot where he lives, by the way. Does anybody know where that is? Like, I'd be guessing northwest, maybe even not Canada, but up there. Is that right? Is that Seattle? I don't know. Where is that? Does anybody know where that is? She had a background there of that nice looking bay. Do you know where that is? And there's a ferry there too.
Not ever talk about, for example, making robots. We did not ever talk about autonomous driving or anything like that. That's all post-me. I probably would have taken something of a different path in that direction.
Okay, so your initial business plan, though, is for the Roadster.
Yep.
And then doing the Model S, the Model X,
Yeah.
basically, maybe not those names, but
Correct.
essentially those vehicles, and then doing something more mass like the Model 3.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next car after that for me probably would have been below the Model 3. I would have been doing a low-cost car, because we should be able to do it now. I'm actually disappointed to see that Tesla canceled their low-end car program, because that's what the world needs, not a truck that looks like a dumpster.
But what about the robo-taxi model?
That's excellent. I might use that if I can borrow that clip. So he didn't like the Cybertruck either, and he wanted the cheaper car. That makes sense. Everybody knew that. It's like Elon's ego got the better of him, really.
Too.
I'm more skeptical of that than most people are. So I mean, I probably would not have done that, or at least it would have been an uphill sell for my engineering team to convince me we should. But so, yeah, I think that people are overlooking the failures of these autonomous systems too easily. I find it kind of amazing that you can put a prototype of something on the road and kill people sometimes because it doesn't work correctly, and that's kind of okay. It's not for me.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would have been different. I mean,
Do you think that,
as time goes by,
Yeah.
my influence on the company diminishes to zero eventually, and it gets taken over by somebody else who has a different vision. And I mean, he's done amazing, right? The company is huge. He became the richest man in the world from it. So I can't criticize too much. Yeah.
was that hard for you, just giving up that control?
Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, I didn't start this company as a get-rich-quick scheme. It's insane at the time to start a car company. I mean, keep in mind, in 2002 when we started this company, nobody had succeeded in starting a car company in the U.S. for over 100 years. So the odds are pretty long, right? So to see that succeed, especially not just that we started a car company, but we started a revolution. All of the car companies in the world now make electric cars because of this car.
Yeah.
So that I'm quite happy about that. That we need to keep moving in that direction, and I think we will, even with current politics being what they are. I think that the electric cars, everybody knows, is the future. We can just bicker about when.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition now, and it's true that Roadster right there did start it off, his Roadster, so he would be happy about that. But yeah, definitely criticism of FSD, or autonomous driving, he's got there about the safety of it.
mission with Tesla was really to inspire other car makers to go electric.
And also to change.
Okay, so we got Keith says Martin Eberhard currently lives in Friday Harbor, Washington, on San Juan Island. That looks a really nice place, doesn't it? Looks like a really nice place. You didn't need his actual address, but okay.
Change the mind of the buying public of what an electric car can be. This is not what people expect. I used to take our prototypes in the evenings and go joyriding and drag racing random people on the public streets with the thing, and it was amusing because I could beat everything. And when people heard it was electric, they're like, what? Now today, the electric car is fast. Everybody knows that. Of course they're fast. They're electric.
Yeah.
But that's not how we thought about it then. We thought about electric cars as being slow and ugly and no fun to drive.
So
and short range.
So you really did that.
Well, here in New Zealand, before there was Tesla, the Nissan Leaf was really popular. You had the Prius, really, and the Nissan Leaf was the first one. It was popular, and I still see them around. And now there's a new one, but Nissan's in trouble, right?
The way, like, you achieved your mission.
I worked at Volkswagen for a couple of years after Tesla on the EV program there, and it was interesting to watch the attitudes inside the company. I mean, when I started working for them, this car wasn't in production quite yet, or it's just come out, but there were a small number on the road, and people hadn't really experienced them too much and so on. And I found an internal PowerPoint presentation within Volkswagen that had been written by one of their research groups that went through the claims of what the Roadster could do, its range and its acceleration and so forth, and concluded that it was impossible, couldn't possibly do it. It's not true. And I said, well, I've got my car, would you like to go drive it? No, that doesn't matter what your car can do. We've proven it on paper. And my wife, who is a retired engineer, she remembered a class she took in college, some aeronautics class or whatever, and they passed around a paper that had been written that proved that a bumblebee can't fly. And the professor would say, that thing buzzing around the room, ignore that because we've proven it can't fly. And so my wife says, they just proved the bumblebee can't fly at Volkswagen.
That's funny. All right, so we have Roadster right here. We should get to this. So this is your Roadster.
That's my car.
Founder Series, VIN number 2.
Yep.
This is your car. Can you walk around and just show us some of your favorite features, the things that maybe were your touches on it, and what you're most proud of?
Well, kind of all of it. I mean, this is the concept of the car I had in mind before I talked to any investors. It was exactly this. It's a small sports car, 2-seater, with the batteries more or less where a mid-engine would be. One of the reasons we chose Lotus as our partner in the beginning of this was because they were already making a lightweight car that was mid-engine configuration. The idea of putting the batteries in a pan under the car came as we were thinking about what the Model S would be. But for this one, we wanted it low. That means there's no room for batteries. So this one is a unique color, by the way. It's the only car that was painted this color. It's very, very plain and Spartan. We didn't have the money to develop a fancy infotainment system. So this is an aftermarket, basically, radio put in there that's
based on the Lotus, isn't it? A Lotus, that the shape of it.
Not very good, but it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
I mean, when you drive this car, especially this early prototype, it rattles. There's parts that rattle, and you hear it all the time. Sound is not that great. The stereo is terrible. The nav system, forget about it. The seats are crude and not that comfortable, depending on the size of your butt, I guess. And all that doesn't matter. When you drive it, you can come back and say this, that, and the other thing, and then you can't get the smile off your face.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to go back in time and think that, like, this is what started it all right here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good car. Like those first few cars, the Model S and the Roadster, that was when I was a big supporter of Tesla back then. And it's true, I see in the comments there about Elon's puffery and his ambition. He did scale electric cars, and everybody's doing them. I mean, I give him that. I mean, that's why I want to be fair about it. It's just he's gone off the rails with the absolute puffery and promises and everything. But looking back on these early days, it's an achievement. It is, and Martin Eberhard was part of that.
The license plate I had in California said Mr. Tesla. But now that I've registered in Washington, that license plate had been taken already, so this is my new license plate.
Founder, I love it. That's amazing. Do you drive this around still?
Not too much anymore. My wife gave me grief about driving it as it's getting more and more valuable as a collectible car. Yeah. And so I have another one, this is actually in California, that's my daily driver when I'm there. That's kind of funny where it came from. That we saw this for sale on some random used car lot.
That's funny. All right, so we have Roadster right here. We should get to this. So this is your Roadster.
That's my car.
Founder Series, VIN number 2.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the bit titled, I had to sue them for this car. Okay, I'm not going to play much more of this.
This is your car.
I'll look
Can
at
you
it
walk
later.
around
Sure.
and just show us some of your favorite features, the things that maybe were your touches on it, and what you're most proud of?
Well, kind of all of it. I mean, this is the concept of the car I had in mind before I talked to any investors. It was exactly this. It's a small sports car, 2-seater, with the batteries more or less where a mid-engine would be. One of the reasons we chose Lotus as our partner in the beginning of this was because they were already making a lightweight car that was mid-engine configuration. The idea of putting the batteries in a pan under the car came as we were thinking about what the Model S would be. But for this one, we wanted it low. That means there's no room for batteries. So this one is a unique color, by the way. It's the only car that was painted this color. It's very, very plain and Spartan. We didn't have the money to develop a fancy infotainment system. So this is an aftermarket, basically, radio put in there that's
Jumping to the relationship with Musk.
Successful and fun.
So I know your relationship with Musk is very complicated. Is there anything?
It's not complicated now.
Not complicated now.
I
Have
no
you spoke to him?
relationship with- No.
All right. Is there anything that maybe you respect about what he's done, and then things that you
Look,
Don't worry.
he turned Tesla into one of the most valuable companies in the world, for better or worse. And so that's good. Yeah, I'm glad to see my baby surviving. You know?
Yeah.
So that's about it.
That's about it.
Actually, to be fair, I think also SpaceX has been a remarkably good company, although I think that he doesn't do an adequate job of giving credit to the people who made that possible. For example, Gwen Shotwell, I think she's president of the company, and she's the one who really...
You missed the good story about his other Tesla. I'll look at this whole interview. I mean, it's 50 minutes long, so I'm not going to play it here. Some people have probably seen it. Dang, is he lean built, vegetarian? Possibly, yeah, he does look fit. I mean, lives in a nice place, fit. Probably pretty wealthy, so time to work out and all that.
keeps the rockets flying.
Then you're not a huge proponent of autonomy, full self-driving.
No. One of the troubles with autonomous cars is that it assumes that cars are the answer. And I'm not convinced in urban environments that cars at all, whether they're autonomous or not, is the answer. I think that there are other answers that are interesting.
Do you use Grok or ChatGPT?
No.
You don't use either of them?
No, I've fooled around with them. I've fooled around with them with disappointing results. You know, what I don't like about my experiences with ChatGPT is the way that I can pose it a problem and it will give me an answer with full confidence, and it turns out it's wrong. And then I'll point out that it's wrong, and it will make some corrections, and it's still wrong. And I've gone through multiple iterations of that. And I've tried this on a subject where I understand the field, so I know what the right answers are. And it's just wrong, you know. And yet the presentation is, of course I know how to do it, and here's the answer. So this I find to be dangerous. I'm concerned about how it's being used in things like education and stuff like that, just because if you let the AI do the thinking for you, what are you doing? Okay, so but my biggest concern with AI in general is actually on the other side.
Okay, that's enough of that for now. Look at that. That's a really good interview that she did. Excellent. Okay, just have a quick look at these. Elon Musk spams, and it's funny for that meme sometimes. SpaceX employee claims he was fired for flagging despicable safety practices that put lives at risk. Ooh. The bear star called Elon Musk an idiot after fake tweet put her life at risk. I did read that yesterday. The next Tesla model, 6 months away. I mean, the Cybertruck could have been successful had it actually been a better design, I think. A nicer, a more appealing design to more people. I've seen these actually. That's the reporter there outside the diner. All right, we're coming to the end here. So this is the diner. I'm just did a search for the Tesla diner protest there. There's the inflatable Elon Musk Nazi salutes. I mean, I might put that in a video. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks everybody for joining. We're over the 2 hours, 2 hours 13. I wasn't expecting to go that long. So I might do these on a regular basis. I'll just look at some stats and well, it's great that people have engaged. Thanks very much for being in the chat. I really appreciate that. Lots. I didn't actually get through many of the comments on the video. I thought I'd just be answering those, but there's been a lot of talk in the chat, which has been really great. I'll see how tired I feel after today, after doing this and then making the video and another video too, probably. But I might do these on a semi-regular basis if people show up. I just guess I'll just have to try it and see. But this is what I do every day, and to dig up some dirt and some interesting stories, and then I kind of have lunch and then think about what I'm going to make, and then make it in the afternoon, and then post it to be I post it to schedule it to be posted at 12:30 my time after midnight, and that's morning in the US. That's the way I do it. That's behind the scenes. So thanks everybody. I see you in the chat there. Thanks so much for joining. I hope it was semi-interesting for you, or interesting enough to hang out, and I did enjoy it. So thanks everyone, and I'll see in the comments if people liked it, and see if I'll do it again. I'll see if I can make this a regular thing, or if I enjoy it, if people show up. If people don't show up, then I won't do it. But I'll see how many we've got over the 2 hours, and see if there's enough interest, and maybe do this again. So thanks very much, everyone. And I'm a doppelganger of a co-worker I had. I get that a lot, actually. Perhaps it's just being bald. Do it again. Thanks. I will. I think I will. Okay. So I'll let you know. Look out for the scheduling, and I'll let you know in a video if I do this again. Just say I might do it. But yesterday, like a couple of days ago, whenever I did the last one, I just did it spontaneously, and that was pretty good too. So, but I will try and schedule ahead to notify people, that it's coming up. So thanks everyone, and I will see you in the next one. See you this video. No doubt there'll be some of this content that we looked at in this next video coming up. All right. See you later. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.